So a few weeks ago, I made a video talking about how I thought Linux was unfairly represented by YouTubers who don't daily drive it. But, for the sake of impartiality, I need to give the other side of the story. You see, while I think that Adobe issues and various software and hardware compatibility problems aren't necessarily the fault of Linux, there are certain problems that are 100% on us and we need to fix them if we want to grow our market share. So today, I'm going to go through the 4 horsemen of things I think Linux and its community need to fix. So this gets brought up a lot, and it's easy to just high-handedly go either way, but in reality, things aren't that simple. Let me explain. Having the freedom to roll your own distro and generally use the kernel in any project you wish is the reason Linux was created in the first place. Such a large amount of choice means everyone should be able to find something that suits them. On the other hand, this massive array of choices has its downsides. There are 2 main ones as I see it. The first is a tendency towards balkanization of the Linux community, with everyone fighting over which distro is better rather than working together to make Linux a true power player. We have an army of developers and yet we're all running around fighting amongst each other like the Celtic peoples against the Roman Empire. Now, this doesn't really have that much of a negative impact on its own, but when the problems begin is when people who are new to Linux ask for recommendations. Because what many of my fellow Linux users fail to realise is that not everyone wants to spend time trying things, they just want something that works. What we need to do is find 1 or 2 champions among the 600 and something distros that exist and point to them whenever someone asks, what distro should I pick? Oh, and by 1 or 2 I mean really maximum 3, because you can guess where this will go. People will say, oh, why not add this one to the list, and then this one, and then this one. And before you know it, there are like 20 of them, and the whole point of having a shortlist has been defeated. Enthusiasts can then continue to mess with their own favourites and hop around, but newcomers will have a much easier job getting started. As for what distros to pick, that is a difficult question. I'm going to try to answer it in a future video though, so make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss it. The second problem is that companies don't know what to go for in terms of software and hardware support. What works on one distro may not work on another, and it would help if they had a clear picture rather than the current situation, which from an outside perspective resembles a bunch of kids running around in all directions getting paint on things. The shortlist approach would help fix this as well. So this is another big problem. You know the kind of people that when asked a question respond with, read the friggin' manual, bro. Here's the thing. Have you seen a Windows or Mac user reading an instruction manual for their operating system? Didn't think so. Now you don't see this much for public-oriented projects. Go on the average Ubuntu forum, for example, and you'll see the vast majority of people are really supportive. But when you venture outside of these spaces into more enthusiast-oriented territory, you meet the kind of person that acts as if they were never a beginner and thinks they're better than you because they spent hours tweaking the settings of their system just so they can post pictures of it on Reddit without touching their mouse. This is another argument for treating public and enthusiast distros differently. The snobs can keep gatekeeping, they'll just find less victims. This one isn't necessarily a problem right now, depending on when you're watching this, but trust me when I say it's a disaster waiting to happen. In order to make the transition from X11 to Wayland successfully, Wayland must fully support legacy software built for X11, seamlessly. Linux is currently faced with a golden opportunity. The hate for Microsoft has never been this high. Need I explain why? It would be idiotic of us to fumble this by breaking half of our software base over some developer disputes as to what's going to be supported. By messing this up, we'll set ourselves back by 10 years, if not more. I cannot overstate the importance of sticking the landing on Wayland. If we get it right, it'll solve a whole load of problems. But if we get it wrong, the reputation of desktop Linux as a janky, hobbyist-only option will be set in stone. Again, things seem to be doing okay for now, but I thought this was worth mentioning as a warning to the people of the future. I'm going to come right out and say it. Many of the apps you use on Linux look like they were made 10 years ago. I think Linux developers have a tendency to overlook the aesthetic side of app development, but the look and consistency of the default suite of apps can make or break the credibility of an operating system. Now, Windows has a similar problem with the consistency in their operating system, so this definitely isn't a Linux exclusive thing, but it's something that should be easy enough to do, so it's kind of a wonder that we haven't really got round to doing it properly yet. Things are improving, as they always do, but we're not yet all the way there. Something to note though is how not to accomplish a clean and unique look, and that's to restrict everything the way GNOME does, but I'll talk about that in the future, trust me. We need to aim to get on par with the polished look of macOS, for example. Not copy it of course, but aim for the same level of class. With all that said, I think Linux developers deserve a pat on the back after all they've done. After all, we're talking about a kernel that was created by a student in his bedroom, expanded by a decentralized network of random people, and is good enough to be used as the kernel of choice for space stations. So, for all its flaws, I'll be sticking with Tux. I'd like to thank everybody who's tuned in so far to watch my videos. Seeing the views pile up on my previous Linux video was honestly amazing. Every like and every comment gives me the confidence to keep going with this channel, and although I'm still no master at this kind of thing, I'll be forging ahead, so make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss a beat. Anyway, I'm definitely not a lizard, signing off.